Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for May 29th, 2025. Coming up, the Thunder are in the finals, so Jon Krawczynski is here to talk about that. Zena Keita and I are going to talk a little bit about how ridiculous Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Zena. How's it going?
It's going well. Doubling up.
Yeah,
some good games in.
Yeah, going great. We're going to OKC. Oh, wait. Some of us are going to OKC. The Thunder have made the finals. The best team all year long, 68 wins. They checked every single box. They beat Jokic. They've done it. They've made the finals. Are you surprised at all, Zena?
Not even in a little bit. Like the fact that you didn't even mention Memphis is hilarious. But yes,
yeah. I was thinking of the basketball teams.
Took care of Jokic. Now they took care of Ant-Man. And they are on their way to the finals. Good for them. Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was named the conference finals MVP, which is, got to say, we've got too many awards. The Oscar Robertson Western Conference Finals trophy is for the team. The Magic Johnson Western Conference Finals MVP goes to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Got to say, by the way, shout out to Clay Bennett, owner of the Thunder. They always award these things to the owner. He immediately just turns and kind of pushes it up to the guys. Like, that's how you're supposed to do it. Although I got to say, the Florida Panthers made the Stanley Cup Finals. And I like the hockey tradition of not touching the conference finals trophy as like, well, we don't want that. That's not the one we want to touch. You got to wait for the Stanley Cup. Where do you side on that? Is it good? Should you celebrate every trophy or should you only celebrate the one?
No, I like the thought of it in the sense of it makes me think of the Kobe quote, right? Like, business isn't finished yet. That's cute, but that's not the goal. Right. You don't want to get too happy with that, like that hardware. It doesn't mean anything when the real championship is coming. So
that's right. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you're still a scrub until you get that finals MVP, right? Honestly, I'm just kidding. I mean, we did it to Steph. We got to do it to Shai. Okay. So Shai, he goes, 34 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Another ridiculous. Just, this is run of the mill for Shai at this point.
How else can we talk about Shai's game?
We're at the point where it's about historical like comparisons and precedents and
yes. Okay. No, listen, Dave. Literally all I was doing right after the win, because let's just be real. Shai, it's like watching music. On offense, he's smooth. It's beautiful the way that he yo-yos with the ball. He makes basketball look easy. It almost is a mockery of the game and how good he can be with the ball in his hands, but then also how good he is in setting up his teammates. So that's cool. Like, we watched it. We've seen it all season. He's the scoring champ. He's the MVP. He's now this conference finals MVP that I didn't even realize existed. I forgot, I guess, but he's done all these things. So I'm scouring X, Blue Sky, all the social media platforms. Just curious, how are other people trying to summarize Shai's game? And it's funny because everyone else is also out of words. So all they've done now is try to compare him to other players in history. So I have like at least 20 different tweets and Blue Sky, whatever you call them, of different ways that he measures up. I'll give you one. First, Shai is the first player to win MVP in the regular season and then go on to win the conference finals MVP. Okay. Interesting. Didn't know that. I think
it's a new award. So
new award. Yeah, relatively new award. First player to win the MVP and then go on to the NBA finals since Steph Curry in 2016. Players to win MVP and reach the NBA finals in the last 20 years. So Steph Curry did that 2 times. LeBron James did that 2 times. Kobe Bryant, right? Steph, LeBron, Kobe, now Shai. Okay. That's another one. Only players to record 70 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists over any 2-game span in the conference finals. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James 4 times, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Wow.
Just keeps going. Don't worry. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, first player to have 4 30-point or more games in a series closeout games. So 4 series closeout games. He had 30 points or more since Steph Curry in 2017. This is all people are tweeting. They're just like trying to gather, how can we explain Steph? Oh, let's just keep talking about all of the greats that have been completely taking over the finals and the conference finals in the last 25 years and just put them in those categories, because that's the conversation we're talking about now. All he's missing, Dave, is a ring.
Yeah. And an NBA Cup. Let's not forget that they lost the NBA Cup this year.
You're right.
The Thunder are looking to actually become the first NBA Cup final loser to win a title. How about that? I mean, hang your hat on that. Let's see these stats and info nerds look that one up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he has won. He got MVP, first team All NBA,
He's done everything.
Western Conference MVP, scoring title, All-Star, and literally it's not done yet.
Going to be the first player to make $80 million a year in the NBA.
Okay, I got a question for you,
He's
Dave.
a star. Okay.
Dave, this is real. This is real now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Is he a better Canadian player than Steve Nash? I mean, excuse me.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say his peak, what I'm looking at right now, peak, maybe higher than Nash. But career-wise, obviously it's a long way to go. But
it's a long way to go.
I never saw Steve Nash do what Shai is doing right now, respectfully, right? Like Nash never even made a finals. So, I think, if you're looking at peaks like I tend to, we'll see what Shai does the next couple of years. I mean, he's just hitting his stride as a player. But man, he's going to be by the time.
He's the youngest player to do what?
Oh, the Thunder are the youngest team to make the finals since the 77 Blazers. Yeah. Like this team is extremely young. They're built to last. I mean, we talked about it on the morning shoot around, which by the way, we stream that on our YouTube channel every Wednesday morning. Although next week with the finals, may have to shake it up a little bit, but we talked about that a little bit. And this team, incredibly young, well built for the future, flexible. I mean, it's just people are going to be the villains probably by next year if they're not already. The tides are turning. Speaking of the other side of the coin, the Timberwolves had a rough night. Stick around after the break. We got Jon Krawczynski here to remember their season. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals, it sometimes looked like the Thunder were taking a test that they knew all the answers to. And now the Minnesota Timberwolves are walking away with a bunch of questions. Here to join us, Jon Krawczynski. You cover the Wolves for us. Probably a tough night. Just give me your impressions of the game and how you felt about the Wolves' performance.
Yeah, Dave, I mean, I was really surprised, to be honest. Certainly not that the Thunder won on their home floor and are going to the finals, but the Timberwolves typically this season have been a team that when their backs are against the wall, when nobody believes in them, that is when they offer their best performances. And tonight was, I think, their worst performance of the entire season. They did not look prepared. They did not look ready to play. They didn't look like they had any answers for what the Thunder were throwing at them. And I do think it was more than just the Thunder being a great team, which they are. It just seemed like the Wolves were not ready for this moment. And so for them to get blown out so completely, for them to be never in the game from the very start, I think it's profoundly disappointing to have a performance like this in your most important game of the season.
I'm thinking about the leader of this team, the person that was supposed to take them to the promised land, had been in this situation last year, came up short, felt as if he had all of the chips possible and the queso and the guac on his shoulder to get them past this point. Anthony Edwards comes up short, 19 points in this loss, 1 for 7 from 3. It was just not the performance you needed when you have your back up against the wall. Post game, Jon, he says, no one's going to work harder this summer than me. What's the lesson and the takeaway for Ant Edwards after this loss?
Yeah, Zena, I think it's a couple of things. I remember last year when they lost to Dallas in the Western Conference Finals, Ant said that one of his priorities was he's going to get in the best shape of his life because he wore down as those playoffs went along. And he was a little surprised at the grueling nature and the physical toll it takes to go that deep into the playoffs. I think he did wear down in this series as well. I mean, it looked like at times that he was gasping for air, that he was kind of huffing and puffing. I think at the end of game 4, he couldn't guard Jalen Williams because he was too tired and they had to put DiVincenzo on him and Jalen just cooked him. And so I think that going into this offseason, he will work even more on that part of his game and be more physically prepared to play the big minutes and shoulder the big burden that he does on both ends of the floor. But the other part of it, Zena, is I think that the Wolves have to do a better job of making it easier for Ant.
Yep.
It was way too hard in this series. You saw what the Thunder were able to do with Shai in getting him 2 spots and getting him good looks against a very good defense. The Thunder are a great defense, there's no question, but I thought that Chris Finch probably didn't do a good enough job of scheming things to get Ant clean looks, but also Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, all these guys who were pretty darn good in game 4 were nowhere to be found in game 5. Like absolute no-shows for the first half. And it was 1-on-5 for Ant. And just no one's going to beat that Thunder team that way.
Yeah, well, the narrative after game 4 was that Ant somehow wasn't aggressive enough. But the truth is, I mean, they were throwing 3 bodies at him sometimes. And this is where Randall has to step up. And this is why Naz Reid got the big contract, and frankly, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker kind of was keeping him in that game. Yep. That's 3 guys that the Wolves and they kind of have decisions to make this summer. I mean, it feels like a team that is to a certain extent running out of time because Rudy Gobert obviously is getting older and centers just don't typically age all that well. I mean, do you feel like this is a solution that is an in-house solution, or you feel like this is a team that's probably going to be looking at some structural changes this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there is room for internal improvement. I mean, with Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, those guys are really young guys that I think will improve upon this experience and figure things out. Jaden was, I thought, very good for most of the series, but today was obviously not very good from a shooting standpoint. But I do think that also what we have seen from this front office with Tim Connolly is he's aggressive. He will make big trades. He will tinker. He will do more than tinker. And I do think that going forward, one of the biggest priorities that they have in this summer is to find another ball handler that can break a defense down. Ant was really the only one that had any chance of doing that against the Thunder. It seemed like Naz Reid, Julius Randle, Nickeil, they forgot how to dribble sometimes. And so I think they need to somehow, some way, I don't know how they do it, but they have to prioritize getting someone who can get their own shot and really make that happen. And
Thunder have a way of making you forget how to dribble too.
Yeah. They are incredible defensively. But I mean, we did see like in game 3, we saw the difference it makes when Ant had someone else to help him. And, a 40-point win. Now, would they have done that all the time? No, but I think that if he had guys who were consistently making shots and were able to help carry some of the playmaking load, they would have just been so much harder to guard. And I just think that they were way too easy to guard this, in this series. And it made it, it made Mark Daignault's work and job pretty easy. Like, take away number 5 and we'll be just fine. And so the priority in the offseason has to be able to find someone or get that improvement internally from McDaniels, to get Ant a wingman capable of creating from the perimeter.
It's worth noting that, yes, Minnesota absolutely lacked a consistent, balanced attack offensively, especially from the guard position, while also stating that OKC is just suffocating. Yeah. They, as Anthony describe them 15 puppets on one string. I kind of look at them like a piranhas with sneakers. Like the second the food comes into the ocean, the food being the basketball, they're on it, they're collapsing, they're everywhere. And this is what has galvanized them. Not even their offense. It's their defense into offense. It's what Shai mentioned, valuing every possession, not thinking about the score. You're looking at this team, Jon, that's on its way to the NBA Finals. Is there any flaw that you're seeing after what you just saw them do to Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, they look loaded for bear for sure. And I think you hit the nail on the head, with their defense is the most replicable thing any team has in this tournament. And so being able to rely on that every single night, or certainly 4 out of every 5 nights like they had in this series, is an incredible luxury for them. Do they have a weakness? I do think so. I think that a disciplined defensive team can do a better job of forcing the ball into Caruso's hands, into Wallace's hands, into Lou Dort's hands, to shoot from the perimeter. And there are going to be nights where they make those shots, no question about it. But I think that there are also, what we saw from the Nuggets more so, was that there are going to be a lot of nights where maybe those shots aren't falling. Maybe, and maybe it's harder for Shai to get to his spots and get to that mid-range, or Jalen Williams. And so I think there's an element of hope that is involved in an approach like that. But I do think a well-coached, disciplined, defensive-minded team could at least put out a plan of, we're going to zone up, we're going to make things tough on Shai, get the ball out of his hands, and then make some of these other guys beat us. And the Wolves just were never able to do that in this series at any consistent level. But maybe the Pacers could, maybe the Knicks could. We'll see about that. But I would think that's the one way that I would look at attacking this Thunder team, and trying to just say, look, the MVP is not going to beat us. Let's find someone else who will.
I just wanted to take a second, Jon, and thank you for being here so many nights during the season. Obviously, this whole show doesn't work unless we have folks like you, and you especially. I mean, you've been on so many episodes. It feels like. Can you take a look back at the year and just tell me what you're going to remember maybe the most from it? I mean, it was an up and down season. We called this team maybe the most confusing team in the league. And then they wind up in the conference finals with a real shot. I mean, honestly, at making the finals. Give me a walk down memory lane, or whatever you're going to think about it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is my 21st season on the Wolves beat. So I've seen the very lowest of lows, and I've seen some pretty good highs. And what I'll remember most of this team is sort of its willingness to get into the mud and go through it and come out on the other side. I have seen so many Wolves teams in the past who struggled in the middle of a season with injuries, with new players, with schemes that weren't working, and just gave up and just gave in and headed right to the lottery and hope that, it gets better that way, or fired a coach and hopes that gets better. This team really did stick together and really weathered a lot of difficulties in the first 3 months of the season, and came out playing pretty darn good basketball to get all the way to the Western Conference Finals. I know the fans and I know the players and coaches are really disappointed tonight with how it finished, and they should be. It was an ugly, ugly finish. But to think that now, with Tim Connolly, with Chris Finch, with Anthony Edwards, the sort of standard for this team is a deep playoff run. You expect to get in the playoffs and you expect to win series, considering that for 16 out of 17 years they missed the playoffs entirely. I think it's something that they should feel really good about, that nothing came easy for this group, but yet they kept hammering away, and they ultimately did get to be one of the Final Four teams standing. And that to me is something that is admirable without question.
Yeah. And Anthony Edwards is doing a lot of stuff that young guys, we don't normally see them get this far to the playoffs. So more to watch there. Obviously, read Jon Krawczynski over at The Athletic. Thank you, Jon, for staying up late, hanging out after the game. That's going to do it for the show. For Jon Krawczynski and Zena Keita, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.